Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here. If you're listening live, it is the 7th of October at about 11 a.m. Pacific time. And if you're listening to an archive or a replay, I also want to welcome you to the show. I want to let you know you can find us over in the chat room by heading over to 12radio.com and clicking on the chat button. You'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. It's a private group, so if you want to comment in there, you'll have to join it, but no big deal. Well, we'll gladly let you in the room, and you can see my banner there at the top of the page. However, I'm also live streaming this event, and you can find that by heading over to YouTube or Facebook and look for Katie Weaver Domestic Mystic, and you'll find that. It seems like more and more people are on the live, which is great. Either way, I'm just glad you're here. So welcome. Want to welcome all of the chatters. You like the graphics today? The eye? Me too. Me too. Luminous has one, and so does the Katie Weaver Show. So very original. I really like them. No, Tara, you got a new dog named Percy. Congrats. How exciting. Well, I'm glad to see you guys, and happy full moon. How was the full moon for you? It was astonishing here. A harvest supermoon? Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Thank you, Quelly. Yeah, and hi to Sid, Lillian, Suzanne, Jacqueline, Sherry. Glad to see everybody here. Jump in the other chat room here quick. Not all about leaving anybody out. So we have the Witches Market on Sunday. And the last market we did, Witches Market, was in the spring and we got rained out. We tried. We went, we set up our awnings, we had heaters, we set up our tables. It absolutely poured rain and sleet. It was horrific. And finally, about 2 hours in, I went, nah. First of all, this sucks too much for us. But second of all, who the hell's coming out and shopping in this? Nobody. So bad news, it's supposed to rain on Sunday. So I'm really hoping that's a very minor rain and that we can actually pull this fair off because I have so much stuff for it. And also it's super expensive to go and you're just out. There's no reimbursement. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen to us again this year, but we have a lot of good stuff and we have a lot of good help. So it should be a great fair so long as the weather holds up. But I did bring one show and tell for you. Scott's been working on these. Earlier this year, I found a 100-watt laser cutter, laser engraver that I really wanted. And I've always wanted one of these, the big kind. I have had a couple of the smaller ones and they just don't do the stuff that I want to do. But these are freaking expensive. And so I never had one because it cost too much. But couldn't justify it. I'm too busy buying things like embroidery machines. But I found this guy on Marketplace that had one for $500, which is a fraction of what they're worth, and said, I was running this just fine. Now it won't turn on. Not sure what's wrong. I need it for my business, so I ordered a new one. So if you're handy and you think you can fix it, this might be a good option. Well, I know somebody handy. So we bought it and brought it home. It was so much more big. It was so much bigger than we realized. We took the Hummer to pick it up, and I mean that filled between it and the stand and the other things that he had with it. It absolutely filled us to the ceiling, to the walls. We were packed. Got it home. Scott, being Scott, fixed it, had it running in about 24 hours. No big. So super exciting. We did have to buy a chiller for it because they get so hot. You have to run kind of a little refrigerated type thing with it to cool the water that runs through the jet or the laser so you don't burn it up. But at any rate, so we got this like laser of my dreams for a price we could afford, which was pretty cool. So we've been playing with it a little bit and learning some things. We did some super cool tumblers too, and I forgot to bring them in to show you. But we've been cutting these cute little ghosties for the fair. Is this not the cutest thing? So it's 2 pieces of wood, but I'm in love with these. I think they're adorable. We made one for our bathroom, for the ghost bathroom we're working on, and loved them so much that we just kept going. So this is my show and tell. Look at her! My God, they're so cute. Ooh, thank you. Look at her! And look at her! I love them so much. I just think these are absolutely adorable. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, anyway, they're going to the fair. They've got their clips on them, but I haven't gotten the ribbons on them. But they have black and white striped ribbon that are hooked to them to hang them from. So, super cute. I love them. And this is like a fraction of the things that laser can do, but I think these are absolutely precious. So, I'm excited. Right? I swear, if any of these that don't sell, like, they're just all going to get hung in the bathroom. I'm going hard on the ghost theme. Scott heard me and brought in a couple of the engraved tumblers. Look at how cool these are. Again with the ghosts. I'm one trick pony. I know. That's my theme this year. It's just, and I'm sticking to it. And then this one with the mountains. That ring light glare sometimes is crazy. You can see on the bottom, like, these are kind of like the northern lights. Gorgeous, right? I'm in love with these. Anyway, so that's some of the stuff I've been working on for the fair. Got a bunch of stained glass done, got a bunch of pottery done. I'm still glazing. I'm going to run one more kiln tomorrow night. I have a few more things I wanted to have done. So anyway, I'm about done. And then obviously what I don't sell at the fair in the next week or two, I know I've said this a lot of times and haven't done it, so is intended to go on Etsy. We'll say it that way. But you know, it is really cooling off here. We're going to be indoors more. We've had two hard frosts the last two nights. The last two mornings going outside to feed the crows. Yesterday morning, I had a magpie screaming in my bedroom window at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Last night we shut the window because it was too damn cold in our room. We had to turn the heat on last night. It was that cold. Um, yeah. And then we turned it off. Like we warmed our house up to 68 and then we turned it off so that we could not, have a hot house to go to bed. But it was 63 degrees in here this morning and there was a heavy layer of frost outside. So I went outside this morning to feed the magpies and the crows and, in the summer I just run out there barefoot and whoo, it was chilly. It is officially very much fall. We've already had snow up in the hills a few times. We are really getting there. So it's okay. It's fine. We're going to be fine. I love fall. I love every minute of this. My only regret is that we've been too busy up to this point to take a ride up in the mountains. So I'm hoping we can get a ride in before the weather completely goes to hell on us. But we'll see. Sometimes it starts to get cold like this and then it warms back up. So you never know. But like on Sunday, the high is 53. And rainy for that damn fair. We're colder than you guys are, Tara. Our weather is fairly similar though, isn't it, most of the time? Jacqueline says they have not had any frost yet. It's their last day of hitting 70s, it looks like. Nice. Oh, Tara says it all goes downhill tomorrow. Got it. When we were in Washington, in order to see the otters, you were supposed to have long sleeves and fairly thick pants in case they were nippy. And the pants that I had were just a really light cotton. So I'm like, maybe I want something a little bit better. As it turned out, that was dumb and was a waste of my time and money to buy things for it. But I didn't know, and I literally flew there to do this thing. So I didn't want it to not happen because I didn't have on the right pants. So we had stopped at the store and I had just picked up a jogging suit. Not something I normally wear. Like I wear a pullover, but I don't think I own a single pair of sweatpants till now. So I bought this whole thing. I called it my otter uniform. Uh, and again, it was fine to have it. Really didn't need it. My other clothes would have been just fine. But I wore the otter uniform yesterday because it was so damn cold in this house, and I was very grateful for it. So I'm glad I bought the otter uniform after all. I have a feeling I'm going to be rocking it this whole winter. There's a part of me that thinks maybe I should go buy a couple more sets. I'm going to, now I know this won't surprise anyone, but I'm going to embroider this one with this really cute ghost. Do I have any other personality right now? No, no, I don't. But it's this adorable ghost pattern that I bought. It's actually the pattern that I'm going to embroider on my towels to go in the ghost bathroom. But this is so cute. It's going to be so cute on a sweatshirt that it's going to go on the sweatshirt, and I think another little ghost on the on the thigh of the pants, and make a cute set out of it. So now I'm like, maybe I should go buy a couple more sets and embroider things that aren't ghosts on them. Yeah, right? And Tara said she was going to ask if it had ghosts on it. It does. I, again, have no other personality right now. Apparently, it's all ghosts all the time. That's it. That's all I can do. It's all I can think about. Um, the stained glass that I did for the fair, yeah, it's mostly ghosts. I know. I know. I don't know what to say about that. It's just where we are. Actually, I'm going to show you what the my little ghost embroidery looks like. I did purchase this file from somebody else. It's not my original work. Honestly, I don't know how to do that anyway. Scott could, but Scott is a busy guy who has a wife who, thinks that he has all the time in the world to just do whatever I want. So, yeah, but this is her. Isn't that cute? So I could design a graphic like this and then he could digitize it, but I bought it from someone else. I'm really happy to support other people's hard work and not always reinvent the wheel. But come on, isn't that precious? Yeah. No, I know. So that's what's going on my sweatpants. Anyway, last week we talked about the science of noetics and meditation and the effects on your brain. And we had a challenge to start the 7-day cycle. I did start it. I have done okay. I haven't done all of it. I need to do better. That's one of my goals this week, is to sink into it. There was one that I got kind of stuck on, and I realized if I was stuck on it, you guys might be stuck on it too. So for my tip this week, we're going to dive back into one of those topics. But before that, let's get into Luminous. Let me share a link real quick to Luminous as well. So Luminous, of course, is the magazine that I publish every week, along with assistance from some of my friends here in the 1-2 world and my sister Christy. I'm going to throw up a quick link here to Luminous. You probably already received it. If you get Luminous in the Daily Dish, you already have received it this morning, but if you don't, there's a link right there for it. But I'm going to go through it here on the show anyway. All right, so I was thinking about noetics in the space of studying intuition and the connection between intuition and confidence. I thought that would be an interesting topic for us to dive into. So I called the magazine this week The Science of Knowing, as again, we're talking about noetics and the connection between confidence and intuition. All right. So it's an interesting combination. I love this topic for New Age metaphysical people because you guys know a lot of this stuff, but you know it from a New Age or a metaphysical place. So we're tying it together with the scientific study. And to me, this is really fascinating and validating. Not that I necessarily need science to validate what I know in my spirit. However, I think the more we know, the better we can do. So I'm here for the marriage. Yep. So noetics is proving what we know, and that's that consciousness moves and movement shapes everything, right? Thoughts become things. So noetics is where metaphysics meets the microscope. This is where the scientific study of thought interacts with form. This is where science is trying to measure things that we have always felt in our bones. This is where science and researchers speak in waves and frequencies, right? They're talking about brain waves, they're talking about frequencies, they're talking about changes around us. For us, we're probably talking more about light and vibration, but again, it's different languages, but the same truth. I like this study because if you are a new agey kind of guy like me and you and lots of other people, we all have our own bias, right? So we might tie things together that aren't necessarily accurate, or we might see things that aren't necessarily there. It doesn't really matter. I mean, again, we're all on the same car driving to the same place. We're just in different seats. But to me, because we all have our own bias, sometimes it's easy to assume things or excuse things or allow things in our thought process or in the things that we're seeing in the outside world that may or may not be correct. And so I really love the idea of scientists, of people who maybe don't believe in what the outside world calls woo or woo woo, taking a hard and a hard look, right? Taking a hard, sharp look at our belief system, our world, and finding where they intersect, finding the proof. Again, we don't have to have proof. The proof is in what we know. The proof is in the things that we have already seen and experienced. But again, I really like the idea of people looking at our world through a different lens without the bias that we have. Because we all have bias about everything. Anyway, I hope that made sense. That was roundabout. I get it. I'm sorry. But so the belief between science and spirit is kind of coming back to this place of agreement that intuition isn't imagination, it's intelligence. This is communication that's happening between the body and the quantum field, between your higher self and the pattern of creation. This is happening. So we might call intuition alignment or downloads or messages from guides or spirits. In noetics, they may call it an information exchange from the conscious field, an energy transference of some sort. So the lab would call non-local awareness what we call clairsentience. What they might call pre-stimulus response, we call precognition. Again, different words, same meaning. What they might call coherence, we call flow or oneness or something along those lines. So noetics really is validating spiritual knowing. It is very, very interesting work. So a lot of us in our new agey world, right, we trust our intuition, or at least we try to, right? We try to trust ourselves. Sometimes we don't, but we want to. We want to be able to trust our intuition. How often do you claim it as authority? How often do you say, I know this with no apology, no explanation? I just know this to be true. On some things you probably do, and on others you don't dare stand quite that high on that hill, but it's okay. You don't have to do that all the time. You certainly don't have to open yourself up for ridicule or teasing or put yourself in a place where you have to explain things that you don't want to. However, At least to yourself, are you able to speak with authority about what you know? Right? Lillian said, "What I know, I know." Got you. I got you. Confidence. At its highest vibration is integration, right? This is integrating what your intuition is telling you and what you can claim as truth. This is the place where your solar plexus and your third eye are working together, and you can stand in the truth of the confidence of the truth that you know. Again, this may not even be truth that you share with other people. It likely is just truth that you are sharing with yourself, your own belief. Let's talk about the energetics of trusting yourself. In the metaphysical model, we know that confidence isn't a surface trait. We know it's a broadcast, right? It comes from your solar plexus. We know that confidence works together with your root chakra. You have to be grounded in order to feel safe. Your solar plexus has to be stable and balanced so that you can stand in your own power. Remember, your solar plexus chakra is right above your belly button. It's yellow. It is the place in you and in your spirit of confidence, self-esteem, and personal power. And then in your third eye, the chakra that's in the middle of your forehead, purple or indigo, depending on how you see it. This is the spot that you see beyond what's on the surface. You see beyond illusion. You see into your spirit. When those three things are operating together and teaming up, this is when your intuition and your confidence will be in the best place. This is where you can trust yourself. You all have this. This all works together for you. Sometimes it doesn't. Why would it not? Well, maybe you're not very grounded for some reason. One of those times would be if you have a shakeup at work. Let's say your paycheck is vital to you, as is for nearly everyone, and something happens at your job that shakes up your ability to make money. Maybe there's talks of a layoff, or maybe you have, maybe it looks like the business is going to be closing, or perhaps you are receiving a write-up or in trouble, or perhaps there's something else going on at your job that is shaking you up. Or yeah, maybe there's a government shutdown. There you go, Lillian. But when those things happen, you get quite ungrounded. And when you're ungrounded, and let's go beyond jobs. Perhaps this is something going on in your world. Maybe you just received some really bad news. Maybe you just got a notice from your landlord that you have to move out. They're selling the building or whatever. Maybe you just found out that someone died that you care about. Those are a few extreme examples, but nevertheless, or maybe something different, like you just found out that your bank account got hacked and your money's gone. And you're going to have to go through a process to get it back. Anything that threatens safety and security. Anything that shakes up the status quo for you, that threatens the way you pay your bills, the way you take care of yourself, where you live, and what's normal and trusted in your life, can shake up your root chakra. When your root chakra gets shaken up and you're not grounded in this moment, a lot of energy goes to your head. In the meantime, your other chakras will be unbalanced because they aren't receiving the correct energetic flow that comes from the earth to your root that moves all the way through you. So say your root is shaken up for whatever reason. That will very quickly affect your confidence and your ability to make a good decision. So now something's happening in your world that is potentially a threat to your safety or security, and because your solar plexus is muffed up, you also are not feeling like you're confident and not feeling like you are in a good spot to make a good decision. See how those two things work together in a way that can be really negative for you? Then imagine that your third eye is also affected by these things that have already happened or are happening. And now you feel quite out of sync with your intuition as well, which also affects your ability to make a good decision. It affects your ability to be able to see things as they are. It affects your ability to be able to think straight. And of course, your crown is overblown because your root's out of whack. And when that happens, you typically end up feeling quite a bit of anxiety and again, feel like you can't make a good decision. That's a lot, right? So how do you keep that in balance? The truth is, it probably is most of the time. Unless there's some ongoing reasons in your life that you stay ungrounded. Some people who've suffered a lot of abuse or instability in their childhood will have a fragile root that just needs constant attention. That's lots of people, of course. But even then, as adults, typically your root chakra will stay in balance for the most part. And everything is flowing mostly the way it should, right? So you usually, at least probably, well, I don't want to put a percentage, but there's a good deal of the time that these things are just happening naturally and you're not paying attention to them, right? Your root's balanced enough. Your core is balanced enough. Your third eye is balanced enough. So, for example, you get in your car and you're driving somewhere and you have a feeling you should go a certain route. And you do. What comes of that? Well, probably nothing. You got to the store safely, you did your stuff, you came home, life is fine, right? You didn't think anything of it. Did that mean that if you went a different route, you were going to get in a terrible wreck? Maybe, but then again, maybe not. Maybe there was just a possibility of that. Maybe there was just something prettier to see on the drive you took. Maybe there was a potential that something could happen, but by chance would not. You can't know for sure, but you did trust yourself. You did go this way and things went well. That is the proof in the pudding. But you're not usually sitting down going, oh yeah, this happened today. I had this strong feeling I should go this way. I'm in balance, right? That was my root. Being balanced enough for me to receive the message. That was my solar plexus, giving me enough confidence to trust myself. That was my third eye telling me to go a different way. But those things did happen, right? They did happen, but you didn't sit down and clock it all out for yourself any more than you sat down and went, check this out. These lungs, they've been expanding all day. I've been breathing all day long, right? Because you just do that. Your body just does that. And your spirit also just does that a lot of the time. But, like I said, there are times when your chakras get thrown out of whack for whatever reason. Maybe a reason you know. Sometimes it's a reason you don't. Just, some kind of a disturbance in the force that's got you thrown off. And then you have to work on it. And you've got to work on it. Or maybe something has happened in your life that's just really shaken up your confidence, shaken up your sense of self, and that's an ongoing practice for you to work on. And that could be. Things happen, right? But when you know yourself, and you know your own spirit, and you know your own energy body, it's much easier to know what to work on. If you know that your root is probably a little bit unstable because of life experiences, then you need a daily grounding practice. We've talked about grounding a lot of times, but some very easy ones, like just breathing in and out, being very aware of your breath, focusing on that energy between your feet, pulling some energy through your left foot, all the way to the top of your head, back down into the earth, and around you go in a reciprocal energy. We practice that a lot. Just going outside and sitting with a tree for a while is really helpful. Breathing with the earth, putting your bare feet on the earth if you can, and lots of things. So this isn't a show about grounding per se, so we're not going to go too far into it. But if you know your root needs attention, then give it that. What's the worst that could happen? Nothing, right? Life just flows better. It's easier. So, but I think it's really important if we're having this conversation to talk about What do you need to do to make sure that your energy body is in the best shape it can be to move correctly, to strengthen things like intuition and confidence and personal power? Okay, we're going to talk about noetic confidence. So for us, for the energy worker, we're talking about returning to coherence again and again and again. So we're going to begin with breath. We can do this together. So your breath recalibrates your electromagnetic field. Every exhale releases static. Every inhale restores resonance. So you're going to just focus on breathing in and breathing out. Nothing fancy. Just for a minute, pay attention to the way your body shifts, the way your spirit shifts, just with a few breaths in and out, just focusing on it. It's amazing how quickly you return to center when you focus on that breath for just a minute. So let's just do that now. Now, we've been breathing. Now you're going to ask your field, meaning your intuition, before you ask your mind. This is about when you're making a choice. You put your hand on your heart. You feel that subtle shift, an expansion or a contraction. We've talked about this before. Everyone has some kind of a tell, at least one, where you feel truth in your body. You might feel it in your heart. A lot of people do, or in your gut, your solar plexus. Some people feel it somewhere else. But it's important to sit with yourself and feel what truth feels like to you. It's an easy practice to just sit with yourself and repeat some things that you know to be lies, and repeat some things that you know to be true, and see what reacts in your body and where. For me, it's solar plexus. It's very high. It's right below my breastbone. I have a fluttery, queasy, shifty feeling that feels like a lie. I have a real warming that feels like a truth. That's just how I feel it, though. Doesn't necessarily mean you. And the lies I tell to feel this in myself would be things like, I hate puppies, or my birthday's in October. Simple lies, things that you know not to be true, and then sit with that energy and make them about yourself. This isn't about anybody else right now. It's just about feeling that tell within yourself. And then record the evidence. Last week, we talked about a noetic journal, which we would call a psychic journal, but it can be whatever you want. But every time your intuition proves itself, write it down. It's not about ego, it's data collection, right? Proof is the ally of confidence. So when you have a sense of something, it's the small things. It's like you think about your Aunt Betty this morning, and then later in the day, you get a call from her. Or you hear from someone else that says, hey, Betty's been in the hospital, and you're like, shit, I thought about her today. I need to give her a call, right? It's small things. Small things. It's that you thought about making something for dinner that you make, and somebody in your family says, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you made this. I've been thinking about it all day. Cool. Super cool. It's the small things. It doesn't have to be something enormous. Sometimes you have those too, right? Sometimes there is the day that you feel like going a different direction or not going at all, and then there's a pile up on the road that you would have been on. Those things happen. Of course they do. But a lot of things are smaller, they're more subtle. But when you notice them, you write them down, you think about them, you put a little energy into them, those kinds of things increase. Or at least your ability to notice them does. Stay curious, not certain. I really love that phrase. When we get too married to how things have to be, we miss a lot. So stay curious, not certain. You don't have to know everything today. Believe it or not, you don't have to pick a side. You don't have to pick a religion. You don't have to pick a belief system. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to know for sure anything at all. You can stay curious. And believe it or not, there's a lot of peace in that. A lot of peace. My friends, it's okay to change your mind. The world doesn't really want you to. They want you to always think that their product is the best. They always want you to think that their religion is the most correct. They always want you to think that their political ideologies are the only ones that are correct. They always want you to think that what they have told you is the only thing that's correct because you're a lot easier to control that way. But what if you just stay curious and not certain? What if you let your mind change as evidence emerges? What if you weren't married to anything so that you could be a lot more true to yourself? I think a lot of people in the New Age world, that's where they have gotten. I think that's a really, really important place to be, especially in our current world. When practicing a practice such as the noetic confidence, this is something that over time you do notice your decisions becoming clearer and cleaner, your voice steadier, your confidence just stronger. It's important work. You're so very worth it. This is the thing I love about noetics. It gives us permission to stop choosing between belief and evidence. You can believe in both. It's pretty amazing. You can believe in both. You can believe in both the evidence that noetics is finding and the evidence that you can prove to yourself. You can also believe in your own belief of consciousness, of your inside and outside world. We don't have to have science to prove what we already know, but it is a good confirmation, and I think it also is just a fascinating study, and I think it also just helps to strengthen that confidence piece too. So that's where it's at. Very interesting stuff. Kelly's article this week I thought was so good and gave me a lot to think about. It's about Roseanne Barr. Can a woman be both revolutionary and reprehensible? Absolutely. When I was a kid, Roseanne's show debuted. And my parents loved that show. My mom loved her. She loved how sassy she was. She loved how she stood up for herself. And she loved having a show on TV about, middle class Americans that were just barely getting by, that didn't live in a super fancy house, that barely paid the rent or their mortgage, that barely put food on the table. They were just a lot more likable, right? A lot of people loved that show because they found themselves in it in so many ways. Also, she loved Roseanne because she was fat and she was on TV and she was absolutely not making any excuses. She was just herself. She was unapologetically her. And I think millions and millions and millions of women found themselves in her, found themselves being okay in her, right? Her show was great. It was pretty awesome. But then down the road, yes, and she loved Halloween. Yeah, and was funny. Funny as hell. She was great. And then down the road, we know she really had a huge fall from grace when she tweeted a bunch of really ugly anti Semitic stuff, and she was canceled, and it really split people, and it was ugly. And if you remember that era or you don't, that's in a nutshell what happened. But, and now it just seems like she is terribly unwell, and people keep putting her on TV for their own gain. She does. She had a resurgence of a show several years ago. It was like a reality show in her home in Hawaii, and it was the most unhinged shit I'd ever seen. I stopped watching because I was embarrassed for her and concerned for her. Uh, and that's kind of where I'm still at. But I really liked what Kelly said in this article about how messy and uncomfy her story is, but how important it is to take a look at it, whether you agree with her or you don't. Just talking more about women speaking up, women taking a stand, women having a voice. So thank you, Kelly. I like this one. It made me think a lot. Okay, here's the tip. And this was a part of the 7-day practice that we talked about last week in the brain meditation work. So this was the open monitoring practice. Let's see, let me find what day this was. Okay, it was day 2. And I thought it was kind of confusing. I did a little more work on it, so I thought that I would just help you guys with what I learned so that we can work on it a little bit better. But this is a whole rundown of what day 2 could or should look like. So, all right. So this is noticing without gripping. What does that mean? You might read it as griping. It's not, it's gripping. But noticing without holding on to anything. So it's a whole practice of just allowing things around you without having to pull anything in. It can be harder than you think, but it's a really, really good practice in being able to train your brain. It's a 12 to 15 minute practice. The goal is to strengthen meta awareness and smooth transitions between brain states. This is the neural basis of adaptivity. Now, broken that down into New Age thought, this is shifting between different brain waves or different levels of consciousness. I talked a little bit about this last week, that this is how your brain is able to shift from one state, or your spirit, one state to another to access your intuition. This is how mediums are able to tap into the other side as well as keep one foot in this one. This is how people get really fast. Did you ever watch Sylvia Browne on Montel? Sylvia was so fast. At the time, I thought she was so fast. I was in college. I loved her show. Every day after school, I'd come home and I'd watch her. And it always blew me away how she practically had the answer before people were done answering it. And I thought, my God, how does she do that so fast? Because I had to sit for a while. I had to really breathe. I had to have quiet. I had to concentrate a lot to be able to pull answers forward. And when I first started doing like psychic fairs and stuff like that, it was so much work for me to focus my energy, to find a quiet enough place in my mind or in my, the physical world to be able to do the work I wanted to do. I had to work hard. And the more I worked, the easier it got. And I was just thinking the other day, I had a client on the phone that said, "You are so fast." She said, "I love calling you because you are so fast." She's like, "You have the answer almost immediately." And that's not always true. I mean, sometimes I really do need to sit with something and really let it percolate. But it's true. I've gotten much, much, much faster. Am I Sylvia fast? I don't know. She's not here anymore, sadly. But I've gotten a lot faster. But the point is, that's because I've had a lot of practice in shifting from one brainwave to the next, or from one frequency to the next, to access the information that I'm asking for. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm saying a lot of words today. I hope that they make sense. So that's why this practice is so important. And if you're somebody that wants to develop your intuition further, this practice is so important. But it's also really good for decision making and being able to just focus on what you're thinking about or on what you want to access. Okay, so let's get into it. So during open monitoring, we're moving the brain fluidly between three core systems. The default model, this is daydreaming, self-talk, and memory. The salience network, that's detecting what's important right now. And the central executive network, focused action and control. So here's how to do it. Step-by-step experience. Number one is to settle. You're just going to sit upright but relaxed. Feel everything. Feel your seat underneath your butt. Feel your feet in your shoes or your socks or in nothing. Feel your breath entering and exiting your lungs. You want to feel grounded, but you also want to feel awake and present. Just a couple of minutes of that. Then tune in. This is just a 1-minute practice. Just close your eyes and open awareness in all directions. Imagine your attention, for you that might be your spirit body, expanding in a field around you. Just let yourself expand and feel everything around you. Just for about a minute, sit with that. Then we shift into labeling the flow. This is about an 8 to 10 minute process. You're just feeling what you're feeling. And as each sensory or mental event arises, just label it. I'm hearing birds. I'm feeling pressure on the backs of my thighs in my chair. I'm thinking about what to make for dinner. I'm feeling cold in my fingers and toes. Whatever it is, maybe it's a physical sensation. Maybe it is something that you're hearing. Maybe it's something that you're smelling. But whatever's passing through you, you just label it and then let it go. It's like a spiritual video game, right? Something pops up, you whack it with a label, and then you let it go and you wait for the next thing. That's all. You don't have to think that hard about it. You don't have to, pontificate on it. You're just labeling it and letting it go. Remember that this is a practice, so you will be practicing, right? This will be easier the more you do it. But this is a pretty simple practice. Then spacious rest for 2 minutes. Just drop all the labels. You don't have to pay any attention. Just let yourself rest as an open presence. No agenda, just being. If you do have thoughts coming in, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just resting for 2 minutes. And that's it. Then you can reflect and record if you want to. You can jot down some notes. What shifted the most? Was it sound or thought or body or something else? You don't have to do this every time. By the way, you can if you want to. Was there a moment of stillness between labels? That's like the God place, right? That's the place where intuition is coming in. That's the place where you're in peace. How do you feel now compared to before you sat? That's an interesting thought. Now, if you want to put one more twist on it, end with an intuitive question. What wants to be known through me today? What do I need to know today? What should I focus on today? You could certainly ask that question. You could also ask that question and pull a card, and then let the meaning of the card intertwine with the thoughts, with the frequencies that are already rolling through you. Right? Whack a thought, Sherry. I had the same thought. It's like whack-a-mole, but for your thoughts. Hey, Jane. So that's how you do that process. In case you were hung up on it, that's how you do it. I'll probably do a few more of these as tips just to help you get through doing this. If you're doing it with me, maybe you're not, but uh, that's the that's what day two uh, should look like. Okay. Christy made an awesome video this week over on her YouTube about how to know when it's time for a healing. I've done this before. I have lots of clients that do this. I think it's very much our nature. We want to be tough and cool and and not need help until we really do. The truth is sometimes it's time right now, right? Sometimes how do you know that you need a healing? Well, there's a lot of things, a lot of reasons that you might be ignoring because you're trying to power through something, because you are actually in survival mode. So she had some really good thoughts about how do you know, but you just need to get some help. So take a minute when you have some time to watch that. I think it's about 13 minutes long, but super good information, good reminders about paying attention to what's going on within you and investing in yourself when you need some help. Sid, is this practice a standalone or do you need to do it with last week's processes? It could be standalone. Sure. It is day two of the 7-day cycle, but trust yourself, Sid. And if this is the one that you want to focus on for a while, there's not a thing wrong with that. That could be that that's just because it's what your spirit needs right now. So, yes, it certainly can be. She said, I like this one because it seems more natural. Because noticing how your butt hurts during a regular meditation is like a forbidden thought, right? Yeah, I like this process too because it's just noticing what you're actually feeling. Which seems like such a simple topic, but it's not. Because we've all programmed ourselves and life has programmed us to pay attention to certain things and ignore others. So it's good for us. Lots of crime over at True Crime Squad. You know how it goes. Lots of meditations over at Planet Meditation. Most of the meditations over there are solfeggio tones or binaural beats, and most of them don't have any words. So you can listen to that while you're meditating or while you're cleaning the house or whatever without, just being able to use that music, that energy to balance you, to get you going. So there you go. That is Luminous this week. Lots of good stuff. Lots of really important stuff, I think, for all of us to think about. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like I should be doing something other than what I am doing, maybe sometimes. I find myself wasting way too much of my time, well, doom scrolling. I'm trying really hard not to do that. But also just wasting time. On one hand, it's fine to waste time. It's fine to do whatever you want to with some of your time, right? But for me, that turns in from being fine to being depressing or upsetting. And who fucking needs it, right? Who needs that? I do not. I don't. I need to be aware. I need to be informed. That's how I want to be in the world. But I do not need to focus so much on negative things that it's all I can think about or talk about. I already do true crime. That's enough, right? So for me, training my brain to think differently and also just training myself to do different things with my time is super, super important for me right now. And I think a lot of you guys resonate with that as well. So that's where it's at. Well, I think that's about what I've got today. So I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Of course, I'll be back next week, next Tuesday, same place, same time, 11 a.m. Pacific time, for yet another discussion here on the show. I will be over at One to Listen every single day. You know, you can find me there doing readings and everything else that we do over there. Readings, animal communication, lots of that. Tons of energy work at One to Listen. Mediumship. It's all flown from my brain. All the things I do. Sometimes it's just some encouragement and helping you to make a decision. Whatever you need, I'm there. And again, you just go to 12listen.com. It's number one, number two, listen.com. And just look for me, Katie Weaver. If ever you go over there to talk to me and I'm not there, just do a callback request. Then I get a text to my phone that lets me know somebody is looking for me and or waiting for me, and I'll sign back in as quickly as I can and get to you. So that's how it works. Lillian said her energy is so low. Could I help her now and she'll practice what she just taught me? I sure can. Let's jump in on that really quick before we're done. Your aura is very heavy. So when your energy body, this is like your spirit, this is your bubble, right? Everyone knows what your bubble is. When people stand too close to you, you know it. Sometimes you can handle certain people in your bubble. Sometimes you don't want anyone in your bubble. Some people's bubbles are huge and just they're not bothered. Other people like absolutely not, right? We're all different. And it could depend on where you're at in your life today too. But that energy tends to pick up debris from the world, from other people, from collective energy. And Lillian, your aura is very heavy, meaning you've picked up a lot of debris from the world. So I'm going to just clear that, get rid of all this detritus and nonsense. It's likely mostly not even yours. And I'm going to lift that off of you. It always strikes me when it looks like that. It's gray and it looks like a big heavy wet wool blanket's thrown over you and you're just kind of sucked down in, kind of trapped underneath a pile of debris. So just clearing that, expanding your aura. I'm going to get some good light around you and that should feel a lot better. Much more like you. Yeah, I felt a good exhale, good shift in your heart. Yeah, that's better. Good. Okay. And there you have it. Alrighty, guys, I am going to do it. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of my world. I appreciate you very much. This has been yet another production of The Katie Weaver Show here on 12 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world. Take care, guys.